So why do this if things are going in the right direction anyway?
Well, and also I would just to add to the initial hypothesis, the Eurozone economy is growing at 1 or 1.5% at the moment. So in theory, you don't need a lot of fuel on the fire, because I know it's not a raging fire, but it's bubbling away in European terms quite satisfactorily at the moment. Yeah. So I think the issue was he learnt in December that if he gets market expectations in the wrong place, he then gets the wrong market impact, which then tightens credit conditions, and then that does cause a problem. But I think the most innovative thing is this negative TLTRO program, which effectively is subsidizing the banks to lend. And I think that the real problem that the markets, I think, have with this is it going to be the rolling over of dud loans to dud companies in Italy and Spain, and they just are effectively allowed to continue to be zombies for a bit longer? Or is it going to be genuine new loans to new investment to create employment? Now, obviously, he hopes it's the latter, but I think the market, having marked up what I would call all the sort of tertiary peripheral banks very, very aggressively, then sat there and went, oh, hang on a minute, it could just mean that the writing down of the non-performing loans takes even longer because of this process of keeping these zombie companies in existence.
What does it mean for asset prices? Because the more innovative you get on this type of policy action, typically you can create further asset bubbles. So if you look at the amount of debt being thrown around the system, what does it mean for pricing just at a time when you've got private equity even saying some valuations are looking stretched on assets?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, a couple of my bond fund managers were basically saying to me that in the short term, because they only have to prove what they've done with the money in 2018, they until the market moved aggressively in the bond side, they could have borrowed the money at -40 and put it in 3-year BTPs to yield -10 and had a free 30 basis point profit without any, in theory, any risk at all. But eventually they've got to put the money in the real economy. So I think the implicit assumption is that this is another way, in my opinion, of giving some free money to the weaker Eurozone banks to stop them becoming insolvent, which is where we were talking in January about the Italian banks and some of the Spanish and the Portuguese. It's a way of keeping them from death's door for a bit longer, in the hope that they can then start to become a force for good. 70% of all credit in Europe comes through the banking system. So if you don't have solvent banks, you don't have the ability to lend, let alone the willingness to lend.